Fear and anxiety are two of the most powerful emotions we experience as human beings. They have the ability to stop us in our tracks, to make us hesitate, to make us question our worth, our strength, and our potential. But here's the truth most of us forget. Fear and anxiety are not there to hold us back. They are there to teach us, guide us, and prepare us. They are not stop signs. They are signals. And when we learn to read those signals, we unlock an incredible power within ourselves. Think about the moments when fear shows up in your life. It comes when something matters to you. You don't feel fear over things that don't matter. You feel fear before a job interview, a big speech, a difficult conversation, a new chapter in life, a big risk, that racing heart, that shallow breath, that tension in your body. It's your brain's way of saying, this matters, pay attention, be ready. Fear is a sign that you're standing on the edge of growth. It's telling you something important is about to happen. The problem is that most of us interpret that signal the wrong way. We feel fear and assume it means danger. We feel anxiety and assume we should back away. But fear is not a wall, it's a doorway. And anxiety is not a command to retreat, it's an invitation to rise. The moment we shift how we interpret those feelings, we take back control of our lives. Let's use an example. Imagine you are about to speak in front of a large audience. Your stomach twists, your hands shake, and your brain starts flooding you with what-ifs. What if I forget my words? What if I embarrass myself? What if they judge me? At that moment, fear is not saying you shouldn't do this. It's saying you care about this moment. You want to do well. Focus. It's not a stop sign telling you to sit back down. It's a flashing light saying step into this fully. This moment matters. Athletes, performers, and leaders have learned to read this signal differently. They feel fear, but call it adrenaline. They feel anxiety, but call it readiness. They don't run from the feeling. They use it as fuel. That is the difference between someone who is paralyzed by fear and someone who rises because of it. When you start seeing fear and anxiety as signals, something shifts inside you. You stop fighting them. You stop hating them. Instead, you ask, what is this fear trying to tell me? What am I about to learn? What opportunity is on the other side of this discomfort? Fear points to the areas where we are meant to grow. If you are scared of public speaking, that's a sign that developing your voice might unlock a new level of confidence for you. If you feel anxious about starting a new business, that's a sign that this path matters to you deeply and could be part of your future. If you dread having a difficult conversation, that's a sign that your boundaries or your relationships are asking for honesty. The truth is, fear is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It is a compass pointing toward your potential. And when you stop seeing it as a reason to quit, you start seeing it as a reason to lean in. Imagine what would happen if you began treating every fearful moment as a growth moment. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you'd say, this is where I grow. Instead of running away, you'd take one step forward. And every time you did that, you would build courage like a muscle. Over time, you'd find that the things that used to terrify you now feel normal, even exciting. Of course, this doesn't mean fear will vanish. Fear will always be part of the human experience. But when you stop treating it as an enemy, its power over you fades. You learn to breathe through it, act through it, move forward despite it. You learn to trust yourself, even when your heart is racing. So the next time fear shows up, pause, take a deep breath. Thank it for showing up because it's reminding you that something meaningful is happening. Then take the next step forward. Fear is a signal that growth is near. It's a signpost pointing you toward the life you are meant to live. When you stop seeing fear as a stop sign, you start living fully. You stop holding back. You stop waiting for the perfect moment when you no longer feel afraid, because that moment may never come. Instead, you start moving now while your legs are shaking, while your heart is pounding, while your mind is screaming with doubt. That's where true courage is born. Fear is not the end of the road. It is the beginning. When you understand this secret, you turn fear into your greatest ally. Anxiety stops being a weight that drags you down and becomes the wind that pushes you forward. And when you live this way, your life stops shrinking and starts expanding. You become unstoppable. Fear has a way of freezing us. It whispers in our minds, painting pictures of worst-case scenarios until we feel paralyzed. We wait for the fear to pass, telling ourselves, I'll do it when I feel ready. I'll take action when I feel confident. I'll start when I'm not scared anymore. But here's the truth. Waiting for fear to disappear is the fastest way to stay stuck. Fear doesn't leave before you act. Fear leaves because you act. The secret is simple. Action is the antidote to fear. Think about the last time you were scared to do something. Maybe it was making an important phone call, having a tough conversation, or stepping into a new opportunity. Before you acted, the fear felt enormous. Your mind came up with excuses, your heart raced, your hands hesitated, but the moment you took even the smallest step forward, something shifted. The fear didn't magically vanish, but it began to lose its grip. That's because fear thrives in stillness, in overthinking, in delay. The longer you wait, the bigger it grows. But when you move, when you do something, anything, the fear begins to shrink. Action interrupts fear's momentum. It breaks the cycle of worry, overthinking, and what-ifs. When you take action, your brain shifts from imagining problems to solving them. You give yourself proof that you can handle it, that you can survive it, that you are stronger than the fear you felt. And that proof builds confidence. Confidence isn't built by thinking about being brave. It's built by doing brave things. This doesn't mean you need to take massive leaps right away. Sometimes we think the only way to conquer fear is to do something huge, something dramatic. But often the most powerful thing you can do is take a single small step. If you're afraid to have a conversation, start by writing down what you want to say. If you're afraid to start a project, commit to working on it for 5 minutes. If you're afraid of failure, remind yourself that doing nothing is the only guaranteed failure. Small steps create momentum, and momentum creates courage. There's a reason successful people often seem fearless. It's not because they don't feel fear. It's because they've trained themselves to act faster than their fear. They don't give fear time to talk them out of their goals. They feel the fear and move anyway. This habit of taking action builds resilience over time. The more often you act despite fear, the easier it becomes. Fear hates action because action exposes fear for what it really is: a feeling, not a fact. We often assume fear means danger, but most of the time it's just discomfort. It's your body telling you that you're leaving the safety of the familiar. That doesn't mean you're in danger. It means you're growing. And growth is always uncomfortable at first. Think of action as turning on the light in a dark room. When you stand outside the room, afraid of what might be in there, your imagination fills it with monsters. But the moment you step inside and flip the switch, you see clearly. Most of what you feared wasn't even real. Action has that power. It brings clarity, and clarity is the enemy of fear. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace is that you don't need to feel brave before you act. You can act scared. You can act unsure. You can act with your heart racing and your palms sweating. Bravery is not about feeling fearless. It's about feeling the fear and showing up anyway. This is why action is so powerful. It teaches you that fear is survivable. Every time you act despite fear, you collect evidence that you can handle it. You start to trust yourself. And the next time fear shows up, it won't scare you as much because you've been here before. You've acted through fear before, and you can do it again. Imagine how your life would change if instead of freezing when fear came, you took one step forward. Imagine how many opportunities you'd seize, how much confidence you'd build, how much stronger you'd feel. Fear will always visit you, but it doesn't have to control you. You don't have to wait for it to leave before you move forward. You have the power to move first. So the next time fear knocks on your door, don't hide. Take a breath, take a step, take an action, no matter how small, because action is what weakens fear's grip. Action is what reminds you of your strength. Action is what leads you to freedom. Fear is loud, but it is not in charge. You are. And the moment you take action, you take back the power. Fear loves to live in the future. It thrives on questions that begin with two little words, what if? What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not good enough? These words are small, but they can create massive walls inside your mind. They stop you before you start. They make you rehearse disaster after disaster in your imagination until the thought of taking action feels unbearable. But there is a simple, powerful shift that can break this cycle, move from what if to even if. What if keeps you trapped, even if sets you free? What if is fear's language, even if is courage's reply? When you say what if, your mind races through endless possibilities, most of them negative. You imagine yourself failing, being embarrassed, losing control. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagined failure and real failure. It reacts as if the danger is happening right now. That's why your heart pounds and your palms sweat, even when you're just sitting and thinking. But when you switch to even if, you take back control. Even if I fail, I will learn something. Even if I get rejected, I will still be okay. Even if it doesn't work out, I will find another way. Do you feel the difference? What if ties your worth to the outcome? It says, if this goes wrong, I won't survive it. Even if reminds you of your strength, it says, no matter what happens, I can handle it. This is the mindset of people who keep moving forward despite challenges. They don't waste energy trying to eliminate all risk or guarantee a perfect outcome. They focus on who they will be, no matter what the outcome is. That makes them powerful because fear loses its leverage when you stop trying to control every possibility. Imagine you're standing at the edge of an opportunity, maybe a business you want to start, a relationship you want to pursue, a dream you want to chase. The what-ifs come flooding in. What if I fail and everyone sees it? What if I lose money? What if it ruins my reputation? Now imagine you respond differently. You take a deep breath and say, even if I fail, I will rise again. Even if people judge me, their opinion doesn't define me. Even if I lose money, I will gain wisdom. Suddenly, the fear doesn't feel as heavy. You haven't eliminated risk, but you have removed its power to control you. This mental shift is liberating because it reminds you that failure is not the end. It's part of the process. Every person you admire has faced failure, rejection, or setbacks. The difference between them and those who stay stuck is that they kept moving forward even when things went wrong. They lived with an even-if mindset. Even if thinking builds resilience, it makes you focus on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your persistence, and release what you can't. It keeps you grounded in the truth that you are bigger than your fear, stronger than your worst-case scenario, and more capable than you think. One of the most powerful things you can do is practice this shift daily. The next time fear whispers, what if I mess up? Answer with, even if I mess up, I will learn, improve, and try again. The next time your brain says, what if they say no? Respond, even if they say no, it only brings me closer to the right yes. The next time you catch yourself hesitating, remind yourself, even if this doesn't go perfectly, I will survive and I will grow. Over time, this practice rewires your brain. It teaches you that you are not as fragile as fear wants you to believe. You start taking more risks because you know that no outcome can truly break you. And with every risk you take, you build more courage, more confidence, and more momentum. The truth is, there will always be unknowns in life. There will always be risks, always a chance of failure, rejection, or pain. But fear loses its grip the moment you decide you can handle whatever comes. You stop trying to predict every possible scenario and start trusting yourself to respond to whatever happens. This is not just a motivational idea. It's a way of living. It's a decision to show up fully, knowing that you are strong enough to face failure and come out wiser. It's a commitment to growth over comfort, courage over avoidance, action over paralysis. So the next time fear fills your head with what if, take a pause and reframe it. Say even if out loud if you have to. Feel how it shifts the energy in your body. Fear may still be there, but now you're the one in charge. What if keeps you stuck at the starting line? Even if gets you moving toward the finish line? What if keeps you scared of falling? Even if reminds you that you can get back up? When you live with an even if mindset, fear no longer controls your decisions. You do. And that's when you begin to experience freedom, growth, and the life you were meant to live. When fear and anxiety hit, the first place we feel them is not in the mind, but in the body. Your chest tightens, your breath becomes shallow, your heart starts pounding, your stomach knots, your palms sweat. These sensations can be so intense that they make the fear feel even more real, even more urgent, even more unbearable. But what most people don't realize is this: your body is not betraying you. It is trying to help you. Your body is your ally. Fear and anxiety activate a natural survival system that has existed in humans for thousands of years. When our ancestors faced real danger, a wild animal, a life-threatening situation, their bodies prepared them to act. Adrenaline would flood the bloodstream, sending more oxygen to the muscles, quickening the heartbeat, sharpening focus. This response was designed to protect them. And that same response still happens today, even when the danger is simply giving a speech or having a difficult conversation. The problem is that we interpret these physical sensations as proof that something is wrong, and we panic even more. We say things like, "I can't handle this. I'm too nervous. Something bad is about to happen." That interpretation only intensifies the anxiety. But when you start seeing your body as an ally, those sensations begin to mean something different. A racing heart becomes energy. Butterflies in the stomach become a sign that you care. Sweaty palms become proof that your system is working, getting you ready to rise to the occasion. One of the most powerful tools you have for calming fear and anxiety is your breath. When fear strikes, your breathing often becomes quick and shallow, which tells your brain that something dangerous is happening. This keeps you locked in a stress response. But when you slow your breath deliberately, you send the opposite signal. You tell your brain, "I am safe." Just a few deep, slow breaths can calm the nervous system and bring you back to the present moment. Try this. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Hold the breath for a count of 4. Exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat a few times and notice how your heart rate starts to slow down. This is your body responding to you, partnering with you. Movement is another way your body helps you break through fear. Anxiety is a form of trapped energy. And if you just sit still while your body is flooded with adrenaline, that energy has nowhere to go. That's why pacing, shaking out your hands, stretching, or even taking a quick walk can make such a difference. Moving your body tells your system that the danger has passed and helps release the tension that anxiety creates. Grounding techniques are also incredibly powerful. When fear has you spinning with what ifs, you can bring yourself back to the present by using your senses. Look around and name 5 things you can see. Touch something near you and notice its texture. Listen for 3 distinct sounds in your environment. This reminds your brain that you are here, you are safe, and you are in control. Your body is constantly giving you clues about what you need. When your shoulders are tense, it may be asking for rest. When your breath is short, it may be asking for slowing down. When your heart is racing, it may be asking for focus and courage. Instead of fighting these signals, learn to work with them. Reframing your physical sensations is another powerful shift. Instead of saying, "I'm so anxious," try saying, "I'm excited," or "My body is getting ready." Physiologically, anxiety and excitement look almost the same. Racing heart, increased energy, alertness. The story you tell yourself about what those feelings mean makes all the difference. Athletes, performers, and leaders know this secret. Before they step on stage or into competition, they often feel nervous too, but they tell themselves that those nerves are a sign they're ready, that their body is giving them extra energy to perform at their best. You can do the same thing. When you learn to work with your body, fear loses its power over you. Instead of feeling like your body is the enemy, you realize it is your greatest support system. It's preparing you, strengthening you, alerting you, guiding you. The next time fear and anxiety hit, don't just try to think your way out of it. Involve your body. Breathe deeply, move, ground yourself. Reframe your sensations as signs of readiness, not weakness. Trust that your body is on your side. Fear may speak loudly, but your body knows what to do. And when you learn to listen, to partner with it, and to use it as an ally, you will find yourself calmer, stronger, and more resilient than ever before. Every fear we feel begins with a story. The story we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and what might happen next. When you feel afraid, it's not just because of the situation in front of you, it's because of the meaning you've attached to it. If you believe, I can't handle this, fear grows. If you believe this will destroy me if it goes wrong, anxiety takes over. The good news is this: you have the power to rewrite that story. And when you do, you change everything. Your brain is constantly narrating your life. It takes every event and assigns a meaning to it. The problem is that this narrative is often built from old fears, past disappointments, and limiting beliefs. If you failed once, your brain might start telling you you're a failure. If someone rejected you, you might hear, you're not lovable. These thoughts run on repeat, often so quietly that you barely notice them, but they shape how you feel and what you do. Rewriting your story begins with paying attention to that inner voice. What do you tell yourself when you're scared, when you make a mistake, when you're about to try something new? Most of us speak to ourselves more harshly than we'd ever speak to someone we love. We say things like, you always screw things up, you're not good enough, you'll never make it. No wonder fear and anxiety take root. Those thoughts feed them. The first step is awareness. Catch yourself in the moment and ask, what story am I telling myself right now? You might be surprised at how negative or exaggerated your inner dialogue can be. Once you've identified the story, you can challenge it. Is it true that you always fail? Or did you just have a single setback? Is it true that you're not capable? Or are you simply stepping into something new and unfamiliar? When you challenge those old stories, you create space to write new ones. Instead of saying, I'm scared, I can't do this, you can say, I'm scared because this matters to me and I'm going to do it anyway. Instead of saying, I always mess things up, you can say, I'm learning and every mistake is helping me grow. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing a story that empowers you instead of paralyzing you. Rewriting your story is about perspective. Two people can face the same situation and experience it completely differently based on the meaning they give it. One person might say, this is a disaster, I'm doomed. Another might say, this is a challenge, but I'm going to learn something from it. The situation is the same. The story is what makes the difference. Your words have incredible power. The story you repeat becomes the reality you live. If you keep telling yourself that you are powerless, you will act powerless. If you keep telling yourself you're strong, you will start showing up with strength. This is why affirmations, visualization, and intentional language can be so powerful. They retrain your brain to focus on possibility instead of catastrophe. One simple way to shift your story is to replace I am statements that tear you down with ones that build you up. Instead of saying, I am anxious, try, I am feeling anxious right now, but I am safe. Instead of saying, I am a failure, try, I am learning and growing. This small shift changes your identity from one defined by fear to one defined by resilience. Another way to rewrite your story is to look at your past differently. Most people look at past failures as proof they shouldn't try again. But what if those failures were actually training? What if every mistake you've made has been preparing you for this moment? The story then changes from, I'm doomed because I failed before, to I'm ready because I've learned before. Reframing your story doesn't make fear disappear completely, but it weakens its hold on you. Fear loses power when you choose a narrative that makes you the hero instead of the victim. In this new story, you are not the person who gets crushed by challenges. You are the one who overcomes them. You are not the person who hides from fear. You are the one who walks through it. Imagine facing your next big challenge with a new story. Instead of telling yourself, "This is terrifying," tell yourself, "This is exciting." Instead of saying, "I might fail," tell yourself, "This might be the thing that changes my life." Notice how different that feels in your body. Lighter, stronger, more open. That is the power of rewriting your story. Your story is not set in stone. You can choose the words you use. You can choose the meaning you attach to events. And when you do, fear no longer gets to be the author of your life. You do. Would you like me to expand Keynote 6, Courage Grows with Practice, into its own 800-word motivational piece to complete your 6-part series? You said expend it 6 into 800 words without heading. ChatGPT said, "Of course." Here's an expanded 800-word motivational piece based on Keynote 6, Courage Grows with Practice. Courage is often misunderstood. People think it's something you either have or you don't, that some people are born brave while others are destined to stay timid forever. But courage is not a fixed trait. It's not something you are simply born with. Courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like building physical strength, building courage requires practice. Think about the first time you tried anything new. The first time you rode a bike, you probably wobbled, fell, scraped your knees, and felt afraid to get back on. But you did it again and again. And with every attempt, your balance improved, your confidence grew, and eventually what once felt terrifying became second nature. Courage works the same way. The more often you face fear and take action, the easier it becomes. The mistake many people make is waiting until they feel completely fearless before they act. But courage doesn't show up before the fear. It grows because you acted in spite of it. Every time you take a small step through fear, you prove to yourself that you can handle it. That proof becomes evidence your brain remembers the next time you feel afraid. Over time, this evidence piles up and makes you more confident in your ability to face challenges. The key is to practice courage daily, even in small ways. Courage isn't just for life or death situations or huge moments on a big stage. It shows up in everyday choices. It takes courage to say no when you want to people please. It takes courage to have an honest conversation when it would be easier to stay silent. It takes courage to admit you made a mistake and try again. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you get a little stronger. Some people think practicing courage means taking huge risks right away, quitting their job overnight, moving across the country, starting something massive. But just like you wouldn't go from never working out to running a marathon, you don't have to leap to the scariest thing first. Start small. Face a fear that feels manageable. Speak up in a meeting when you usually stay quiet. Try something you've been putting off because you're worried about failing. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Each small act of courage creates momentum. The first step is always the hardest because fear is loudest at the beginning. But once you act, the fear starts to lose its grip. And the next time a similar challenge comes along, it won't feel quite as scary because you've already done something like it before. This is why courage is like a muscle. It needs to be exercised regularly. If you only use it once in a while, it stays weak and fear feels overwhelming every time. But when you practice consistently, you build mental and emotional strength that carries you through the harder moments. Practicing courage also teaches you something important about failure, that it's survivable. Fear often convinces us that failure is the end, that if we mess up, we'll never recover. But when you practice courage and survive small failures, you discover that failure is not as scary as it seems. You realize that you can stumble, fall, get embarrassed, lose, and still get back up. This realization is freeing because fear loses its power once you know you can recover from what you were most afraid of. The most courageous people in the world are not the ones who never feel fear. They are the ones who have practiced moving forward despite it so many times that it has become their default response. They have trained their minds and bodies to act even when fear is present, and you can train yourself to do the same. One powerful way to practice courage is to deliberately seek out small discomforts. Do things that challenge you a little each day. Take a cold shower, try a new hobby, talk to someone new, volunteer for something that scares you just enough to make your heart race. Each of these moments may seem small, but they build the inner strength you need for the bigger challenges that will come later. With every courageous act, your self-image shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids fear and start seeing yourself as someone who faces it. And that change in identity is powerful. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe, I am the kind of person who does hard things. That belief stays with you, giving you strength the next time fear shows up. Courage is not something you wait for. It is something you practice. It is built day by day, decision by decision, action by action, and as you practice, you become more than just brave. You become unstoppable. Fear will always be part of life, but it doesn't have to control you. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment when you finally feel ready. You can start now, right where you are, with the courage you have, no matter how small it feels. And with each step, you will grow stronger, braver, and freer.